In the later years of his life, after most of his management and promotion team, supporters, and followers had abandoned him, William Branham prophesied that he would hold one last revival in a tent, and that it would be the final revival before the end of days. Branham shared some of these details of this prophecy on recordings that are available to the public, but he went into much more detail of this alleged prophecy among other key figures in his inner circle. One such key figure was my grandfather, who was the pastor at the Branham Tabernacle after Branham's death and until 2015. The circus-style traveling tent revivals of the early 1900s were almost non-existent by the time that William Branham shared this prophecy. As the Latter-rain movement transitioned into its various splinter groups that would ultimately become the New Apostolic Reformation, campaign managers became aware that they could draw larger crowds in auditoriums with climate control. And those auditoriums were more commonplace. Branham's predicted tent, however, had a special feature: a small room where members of his cult of personality would receive their heavenly bodies. Alleging that he was the Son of Man, Branham claimed that he would play a role in transitioning cult members from this life into the next. Considering Jonestown and other tragic events in cult history, this is a very serious claim. Leaders in the Branham movement and its affiliates have been aware of this failed prophecy and all related concerns for decades. Many of them have tried to cover it up. My grandfather was one of the few who continued to tell others this gospel of the tent, but a majority of well-respected and well-recognized men have tried to cover this up. Many of them are aware that William Branham instructed men to purchase an airplane, to purchase a bus, and others claimed that they were instructed to purchase other arrangements for what appears to be a vision inspired by declining mental health. Years ago, we were at the point in which we were starting to publish more information about this and William Branham's deep connections to Jim Jones. At the time, we did not realize that Jim Jones and Joseph Matson Bozay had replaced Gordon Lindsay and Ern Baxter, until Jones himself abandoned William Branham. We had one video already published about the tent revival, and members of William Branham's cult of personality attacked our YouTube site and brought it down. The tent revival video was one that was taken down. Interestingly, the clips used for this video were also taken off of YouTube and various other hosting sites. Though it's very short and was initially intended to be a teaser for what was to come, we've now updated that video and we're publishing it again. We are doing this without permission under the fair use exemption in United States copyright law, and we recommend that any people with the ability to do so copy this video and keep it for future research. Here is the updated video. William Branham prophesied that he would have one last tent revival.
But now, speaking on what the services and going to Africa and the things that we've tried to arrange for these few days here in the Indiana, and somehow or another, Lord, maybe you're driving us to that tent to make that vision fulfilled.
In fact, he claimed that it was the only vision that had not yet been fulfilled.
And so far as I know, that every vision that He's ever given me has been fulfilled, except the one that I'm a change in my ministry to where I'm to pray for people in a little place, like a little room under a tent.
This event was supposed to have happened before William Branham died in 1965.
The things that he said about the tent vision, all those tremendous tent visions. And I thought, how in the world can these things take place now. Our prophet's gone.
William Branham asked one of his close friends to purchase an airplane to carry this tent.
Then he said, would you get an airplane? And he said, here's what we'll go do. He said, we'll go up through Canada, Alaska, Mexico, South America. He said, we'll go all over. And he said, we're going to hold 2 weeks meetings. Then he said, we'll be in the wilderness fishing and hunting while they're moving the tent.
William Branham had promised to pay for this airplane before he died.
And he said, in real, I wouldn't say the word begging, but just very sincere and just, would you get this airplane? And I said, I'll pay all the expenses.
William Branham trusted Evan Mosley to purchase this airplane.
And so we just thought, well, we'll pick an airplane that we feel that the mission needs, and that's what we'll get. But that's what he stressed the point. He said, you'll know what kind of airplane to get.
This event was very closely tied to William Branham's 1977 doomsday prediction.
So anyway, we got the airplane, and then we brought it home, and we went to work getting it ready to go. We went through training to get our pilot's training, everything ready. We stripped the airplane, painted it, repainted it. We thought very strongly that Brother Branham would be back in '77.
This airplane has sat and deteriorated since its purchase.
In the very near future, we're going to be able to go to work on the airplane. Seriously. We're going to have to put it in a hangar, and it's going to have to be totally overhauled from one end to the other. It's just set too long. You understand, it's set there now for, since we've owned it, it's set now for 32 years since we owned it. And it's just like everything else, things deteriorate.
But this plane was at one time prepared for the 1977 doomsday.
It was in very good shape when we thought Brother Branham would be back, but he wasn't. So we just do the best we can. And so we're making arrangements, and we're going to try to get to work on that airplane in the very near future, and to bring it up to where it'd be airworthy again.
It was very difficult for these men when William Branham died in 1965, and this prophecy had failed.
And I thought, why in the world did Brother Branham ask us to get this airplane? Now he's gone. And I'll never forget, I walked the floor. I sought the Lord. I couldn't figure it out. I was scared.
This was not the only prophecy of William Branham's that failed with his death in 1965.
Of course, we know the vision of the 8-foot silver tip and the caribou that he got. That vision was fulfilled. But then you remember he had another vision of shooting a large brown bear, huge brown bear. You remember that one?
This airplane was connected to William Branham's failed prophecy about killing the second bear.
And that's the very word Brother Branham used when he asked me to get the airplane, asked Robert and I to get the airplane. He said, well, they'll be changing and moving the tent. We'll be in the wilderness, fishing and hunting. And he used the word wilderness.
William Branham's failed prophecies were also tied to salvation. Branham was allegedly to be forgiven with the killing of a bear.
He said, I will know that God has forgiven me when I shoot that bear. He said, that's thus saith the Lord.
After William Branham died, and these prophecies were unfulfilled, cult leaders began claiming William Branham would raise from the dead to fulfill them.
Now, people don't even think he's going to come back and have a tent. I've got a list here, and I hope I don't forget them. I want to go over this list of these things that are thus saith the Lord, that we have got to look forward to. We not only can hang our hat on these, we can hang our soul on these.
I've got to leave here. You've got to leave here. And if I go as a false prophet, I'll lose my own soul and lose yours with me.